Good morning, Franklin Discovery family, and welcome to another round of Wake Up with Coach, day 27. Wow, that seems like a long time, doesn't it? But yeah, we've been flying through these days of words we talked about. Matter of fact, we're going to go over just one more word that we talked about the last time we got a chance to sit down and talk. Now, I'm going to tell you today a couple of stories of my sons. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about them when they were your age. Brennan, bless his heart, when he was really young, he made me think really hard about why I choose to do things. And he didn't even know he did it. And my older brother invited me around to his house and said, hey, we're going to tear out this big piece of concrete out in my front yard. And I'd like you to come over and help, bring the family, we'll do some barbecue, we'll tear out this, this concrete piece and we'll all be done. And I was like, yeah, we could do that, that'd be kind of fun. And he says, you better bring that big sledgehammer, even though I don't think you can use it. And I was like, it's on now, man, it's on. And so I grabbed my big sledgehammer and I put it on my shoulder and I got all my family, we got them in the car and we drove to my brother's house. And at my brother's house was this big giant piece of concrete. But what we didn't realize is that concrete was about 8 inches thick. And I know some of you guys have never played or worked with concrete, but it is heavy. And we got out, my older brother, my younger brother, and I were all there, and we got out at it. We started wailing at this thing, hit really, really hard. And we were so sweaty after like 30, 40 minutes of swinging this stuff. We were all tired and out of breath, and I'd like take a swing. And then I'd hand the sledgehammer to my brother and he'd take a swing. And by the time, we were just like, I'm not sure I can swing this thing anymore. We realized we had torn off a section of that concrete about that big. That's it. We had been working so long and we were tired. There was no way we were going to get that concrete out. And we were frustrated. We were tired. All of a sudden, little Brennan, he was probably 10, 9, something like that. He came up to me and he kind of pulled on the back of my shorts, so I was standing there and I said, yeah, buddy, what's up? He hands me a bottle of water and he says, you're doing great, Dad. Keep it up. And then he turned and he walked away. That was it. But I'll tell you what, after he said that to me, I had the biggest burst of energy I think I've ever had in my life. I drank that water and I started wailing on that concrete. I don't know where it came from. It was like a second energy just came right into me. And I started wailing really hard. Now, that energy, that reasoning is the word I want to talk to you about today. And it's a big word. If you remember that list of 23 that we went through, it's not on the list. But it is part of every single one of those words, just like courage was. This one, is the why, W-H-Y, behind everything we do in life. It's called motivation. Motivation is what we use, the energy we draw in to use to accomplish things in life, to do things, why we choose to make our bed, why we choose to do our homework, why we choose to read a story, why we choose to, why. It's the underlying issue, the emotions and the drive that gets us to do what we want to do. Now, there are people out there that say they're like motivational speakers and things like that, but they're really not motivational. They're inspirational. Now, here's the difference. Inspirational is when somebody or something gives you the idea, like Brennan, to me, that gives me a spark of thought, decision making, that leads me to want to be better or to change. Motivation is me, what I do, to choose to go and do it. Now, the why behind everything we do is really, really important. And who's to say what's good or bad? Because what we choose to do, and this is kind of deep, but you guys do it on a daily basis. Why do you use certain things? Why do you do certain things? For instance, let's use an example. Why is it when you see somebody who may do something wrong, maybe they were mean to another friend, or maybe they lied to someone or something like that, why is it you want to tell on them? There could be a million different reasons for that. But that gets you thinking. Like, can you do the wrong thing for the right reason? The answer is yes. Can you do the right thing for the wrong reason? The answer is yes, you can. Now, the right thing in that situation, if somebody does something wrong, is you probably ought to tell your teacher, right? That's the decision you're going to make. Am I going to tell the teacher? But what is behind that motivation is what separates you from being mean and angry and frustrated and being kind and loving and trusting and a friend. And it's sometimes it's a little thing. So if you go tell on your friend and it's the right thing to do, could you go on to do it? Maybe he's not your friend or she's not your friend. Maybe you don't even like him. Maybe you want to tell on him so they're getting in trouble. That would be doing the right thing for the wrong reason, right? Because we don't want to get people in trouble for no reason. That's anger, frustration, that's fear. Now, can you do the wrong thing for the right reason? Sure, same situation. The wrong thing is, I don't want to tell on my friend, but that would probably help my friend, even though they're my really good friend. And it may help them choose not to do it in the future. The answer is yeah. You might think telling on it may be the wrong thing, but you're doing it so that it helps them grow and be better. That's love. That's tough. Those are hard decisions to do it. And those are just two little tiny examples of it. Now the fun part is that we get to analyze a little bit about this motivation. Why? Now there are 4 different types of motivations, as I told you. 3 of them that are really, they're motivators, and they will give you energy to do things, but they do it for like a really bad reason. And then there's one that does it for a good reason. You probably guess which one that one is. But here they are. The first one is called perfection motivation. This is one of the bad ones. Because even though you want to be the best you possibly can, get straight A's all the time and be the best athlete all the time and always do things the right way, and sadly, our value gets wrapped up in what that is. And the answer is none of us are perfect. None of us are going to do things exactly the best way all the time. And so that brings a lot of doubt and shame and frustration. If I don't get 100 on this test, I'm not a good person. No, that's not true. That's not what it means. But sometimes the motivation is that perfection. I've got to be perfect. Is that a motivator? Yeah. And it can drive you for a long time too, but it takes a toll on you in here. The second one is obligation motivation. Obligation means I have to. It's my duty. It's my job. I have to do it this way. You can see that that's not a very good way either for motivation. Because if you have to do it, do you have a lot of energy in it? No, there's not much there pushing you. I have to make my bed or mom and dad are getting mad at me. I have to get my paper done. I have to go work on Freckle. I have to, but I don't want to. Motivation? Yes. Good one? Not really. That third motivation is what we call people-pleasing motivation. And that's the one that your value is based upon whether or not you do something that makes other people acknowledge you as a person. I'm going to make my bed because mom and dad will love me more. I'm going to do my homework because my teacher will think I'm really smart if I do. I'm going to be a best friend to this person so that I have friends or I'll lose them. The answer is that's not really a good motivation either. That motivation is all about getting, not giving. And when we're worried about us all the time, that becomes very fearful and very unhappy. As you can guess, that last one's called love motivation. And this is completely different way of thinking and a motivation for yourself in getting you that energy you need to do things. But it's about loving how to learn, finding excitement in education, loving a sport, so much so that you want to practice more at. It's about loving a story so much you can't put it down because it's so good. It's about others. It's about thinking of other people, not yourself. Now, the cool thing about this motivation is that it's catching. When you do things because you love something or you want to make somebody better, it attracts more people to you. You become a more enjoyable person to be around. I'm going to make my bed because it makes me feel good. Having a clean room. I'm going to brush my teeth because I've been asked to. Oh, that would be close. That'd be more like obligation. I want to. I like having a good smile because then I don't have to worry about anything in my teeth and I talk to people. I'm going to take a shower because I like to smell good. It makes me refreshed in the morning. Starting to catch on a little bit different on these motivations. They're very powerful things. So essentially, with me telling you about these 4 motivations, it's kind of simple. We can sum it up. Motivation is a choice. You get to pick what motivates you. So my question for you this week is, in all the stuff that you're doing, analyze what is motivating you to do them. Why do you get up and have to go do your homework? Do you do your homework? And if you're doing your homework and it's not very fun, you don't really like it, is that a obligation motivation? I have to? Or is it a, hey, this is a new challenge for me today and I'm going to try to do my very best at it, and if I don't do great, that's okay. I'll just try again. Because that's what it's all about. Keep trying to make ourselves better. Love those around us. Work hard. Find happiness enjoying the things that you do. Here's another story as we wrap up. My other son, Austin, if you remember, tall guy, used to work at the school too. Bless his heart, he had a experience right about 6th grade that kind of threw him for a loop. He didn't really understand it, but I'd like to show you his motivation behind it. He was coming home on a bus, and when he got on the bus at the school, he walked down the aisle, and there at the back, almost in the very back, were a couple of girls that he knew from school. And so he decided, hey, I'm going to sit down with them, doing that, just talk and have a good time, that type of thing. So he went back and he sat down right next to him, and he started talking, having a good time. Well, as the rest of the bus started to fill up, a couple of boys got in right behind him in their chair, in that very back seat. And while they were sitting in that back seat, they started to talk too. Well, as you guys know, if somebody's talking behind you, you can hear a lot of what they say. So as my son was talking to these 2 nice girls, these 2 boys behind him started using some pretty bad language. It's language that he knew wasn't good. And if he could hear it, he knew those girls could hear it. So he turned around to these 2 boys and he says, guys, would you mind just not using that kind of language? That would be really helpful. And they kind of went quiet. He turned around and started talking to the girls again. And these guys went back to talking. But this time they started using more bad language. Lots and lots and lots of it. And so my son, I don't know where he got the courage from, but he turned around to these boys and he says, real men don't have to use that kind of language. Yeah, I was a little worried about it. When he told me that, I was like, uh-oh, what's going on here, buddy? That's kind of scary. You don't tell people that. That's kind of, direct. And these boys were quiet for a minute, and he turned around and started talking to the girls, and then they started talking about him directly right at him. All kinds of bad language, teasing, making fun of him, all sorts of stuff like that. Well, he had kind of got to the point where he didn't know what to do anymore. And so he thought for a minute, and then he turned around and he looked at both those boys and he said, you see these 2 girls? They don't talk to people who use that kind of language. And then he turned around. Nobody talked for the rest of the bus ride home. Nobody. Not the boys behind, not the girls next to him. And so he was like, oh my goodness, I think I did something really bad. This is awful. I hope I didn't hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. So he was really worried about it. But he knew it wasn't good to use that kind of language, especially around young ladies. So, when he was just getting off the bus, he just stood up to head off the bus, one of the girls came over to him and grabbed his arm and said, "That was awesome," and then walked away. Now let me ask you a question. Here's the question. What was the motivation behind why he chose to talk to those boys in the first place? I don't know. He could have been motivated by all those motivations, right? Perfectionism, you're not supposed to do that or you're not a good person. Obligation, and my dad taught me that I take care of young ladies around me and that language is not good around them. It could be a people pleasing. I want to impress these girls and that's people pleasing. Or it could have been just a simple fact that you gotta respect people. And that language is very disrespectful. I don't know. Could have been any one of those things. I don't know what the motivation was behind the young lady who turned and said, "That was awesome." It could have been people pleasing. It could have been obligation. She had to as a lady. It could have been perfectionism. And that was, "Oh, he's so right. He needs that. He needs to be strict." I don't know. Maybe it was love. Somebody say, "Hey, you know what? That was really cool that he did that for us." But here's another crazy question. When my son got home and told me that story, he said, "Dad, there's a problem." I said, "Well, so what's the problem? There can't be a problem. That was awesome." He says, "Dad, I know, but now I want to go find more people who use bad language and make sure they don't cuss around girls too." So his motivation has completely, whatever his motivation was at the beginning, has now gone into, I am going to do it because I want to respect other people. So whatever lesson I would have taught him earlier, gone. Because now, because one little person, one little girl had the smarts to tell him that he was wonderful for doing it. Do you think he's ever going to have a problem with language around other people? No. Because he knows it respects people now. And he knows people are happy when they are protected as well. So, simple motivation, loads of those 23 characteristics go right in there. You get to analyze this week what motivates you. Is it a fearful perfection, obligation, people pleasing, or is it excitement for learning, excitement for doing what you know you need to do, for being a great person, for making, you get the idea. And I'm excited to hear some of these, so if you have them, you're welcome to share them with me. That'd be a lot of fun. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. See you later.